Good morning, everyone. This has been a very difficult week, and it's been hard for me to get my head around what I should say today. I'm usually pretty organised, and I can put things into neat little boxes and give things a succinct meaning. But my head was just not been there since the shock of losing Mum. So I will just speak to Mum while you are listening. Mum, I wanted simply to say thank you. Thank you, Mum, for teaching me how to be a father, a husband, and a man. It's a lot, huh? We all choose our own lives, both in a spiritual sense, that is, the type of family and challenges we get, and in the physical sense, such as the choices we make in our response to life's challenges. You definitely faced some challenges. You chose a family with challenges, but you rose to the occasion and made choices that I will forever be grateful for. Your father, Chris, originally from Liverpool, lived the life of an adventurer, stowing away on ships, travelling the world, playing piano, gambling, entertaining, and doing dodgy deals. After a twisted path to all corners of the earth in the 1920s, which included the New Zealand goldfields, a brief stay on Her Majesty in Dunedin, and an annulled marriage in Liverpool, he finally met Olive in Adelaide and fell in love. Olive, from a mining family of Welsh and Cornish pioneers who came to Australia in the 1850s, starting in Moonta, then later Broken Hill. At the time of their meeting, the family were now in Adelaide. They married, moved west and started a family, a fruit shop and a bookmaking operation out the back. Olive lost her first child at 1 month of age, but later had Tom, and then Chris lost the shop. It was either the depression that did it, or maybe a bad debt or deal out the back that either went the wrong way. But either way, they hit the road and Chris picked up work in the fettling gangs building the railway to the east. You lived a hard life in the camps and pubs along the railway line, but it was at one of these wayside stops in Kalgoorlie that you were born. They were based in Kalgoorlie for a little while, albeit living at the back of a pub, but it was here that Olive also had twins. Unfortunately, she lost them and then only 1 month old, to diphtheria. This, together with the hard life, were too much for Olive, so they moved back to Adelaide. Chris had tried to join the army, but with a severe asthma could not go to war. He was by now frustrated and angry, and Olive mentally unwell, so with the 2 kids in tow, the family headed to Melbourne. They took an overnight journey by train, the kids sleeping in the third-class carriage aisles, arriving at Spencer Street station early the next day. With a suitcase each in hand and not 2 bob in their pockets, they walked to Watsonia Army Barracks, where a billet awaited. Soon after, they were assigned a hut at the new Camp Pell that had been set up in Royal Park to house the homeless, and this is where they settled until the Housing Commission built a house for them in 1957. While an adventure for kids, this was an awful struggle for the family, and this left Chris bitter and sick, as he had also contracted tuberculosis, which had reduced his lung capacity to the point where he could no longer work, and Olive struggling far away from her extended and loving family. This was a difficult upbringing, hard times, no secure home, a family in disarray. You could easily be defined by that type of background and be a victim of these circumstances, but that's not the choices that you made. You went to work after primary school, no money for secondary education. You needed to work to help support the family. You got a job as a dressmaker in Flinders Lane and now loved life. Most of your salary went to the family, but the little you had left, you made a great life with, and this is where your choices defined you. You were raised a strict Catholic and destined for convent life. While your belief was strong, your choices involved great things you could do in Melbourne in the 1950s on the smell of an oily rag. You chose to be with people, to make friends, to join in. You did things like cycling, playing tennis, going dancing, and above all, the footy. You got to be in Melbourne at the time of the Olympic Games, and although you could not afford to pay for an entry, you did get to meet the athletes. While with friends, though, you found the love of your life, got married, built a house, made a home, and joined a community. You made a family. You were determined to build a family, a secure family where there was love, warmth, and food on the table. You made sure we didn't want for anything, even if it did mean you working an extra job out in the garage sewing your own clothing or doing without the little things that we now take for granted. You broke the mould, and when you and Dad built your own home in one of the new suburbs out of Dandenong amongst the dairy farms, but quickly joined in the community. We knew everyone in the street. We grew up together. Our parents were involved in kindergarten committees and then later committees at the primary school. You took us from pillar to post to get us our education, our healthcare, our groceries, holidays at the beach, and also to care for your ailing parents. It was no easy thing for a woman in the 1960s, raising 3 boys in the suburbs while her husband was away at work all day and sometimes all night without a car. But you felt a sense of duty to the family and wanted to make the family succeed in spite of all the examples that you had seen before. Things got difficult early when the credit squeeze came. Interest rates up in the 20s, Dad was working 3 jobs and you were doing piecework. But you weren't ever going to give up on the family home. Things also got tough later as Dad lost his way, but you were there for us in such a difficult time. You found work, you found income, you got involved in the markets and kept the household running, kept things going while we grew up and found our way. Yes, we all grew up and moved away eventually and did our own thing, created our own lives, but you continued to be involved with us and our families and your grandchildren right to the very end. It was one of my greatest joys to share with you my success and my difficulties, and especially the joy that we find in our families and their achievements. So what I've learned from you is that none of us are victims of our own circumstance. We do really determine our own fate. I learned about family, the importance of it, and the hard work sometimes that is needed to make it succeed, but also of the rewards that you get from this. You also taught me about community, and this is what was not simple thing in the suburbs. However, All of us have been involved in school committees, sporting groups, coaching, and doing all the little things that need to be done to support our children and your family life. And for that, I will be forever grateful. There's a big hole that's been left behind now where you once stood. I guess it's the little things that really hit home at a time like this. When my girls achieve something at university or at work, or having fun in their personal lives, I love to share with you photos and stories about the joy that we can celebrate together. I would love our daily catch-ups on Messenger, where it would only be about the simple stuff, the weather, the day-to-day lives, our routines, what the nurses are doing today, and whether I'm going for a run or working late. I will also treasure our video catch-ups on the weekend, where we get past that superficial stuff and we talk about what really matters and what's really happening in our lives. I won't get any more of those little updates for the photos that I've been scanning and getting little stories behind them so I can share them with the family. I'm only left with the notes that are marked on the back of the pictures. So I will miss you terribly, Mum, for all these reasons, but I know I will carry your legacy, the lessons you've taught me and the way I live my life. I guess this is how we actually live forever. It's through the people we meet, the people we love, and the way that we influence the future that makes the difference. I know that whenever I want to share some good news or talk about some challenges, that I will always think of you first. Maybe I will continue to have those discussions with you, not just in a physical sense. For now, Mum, rest well and know that I love you.